Hatchet 3. So Hatchet 3 picks up right after where Hatchet 2 left off, which is Mary Beth beating the shit out of Victor Crowley, totally smashing his face in, but that's not enough. He gets back up and she chainsaws him in half. And then she goes back into town, and her first idea, and already this is a con for this movie. As I'm telling you the story, you're going to be like, wow, really? That's her decision? She takes the scalp of Victor Crowley and goes to the police station because she's like, these people are going to believe my story about how there's 40 bodies where I just left and I'm the only survivor and I have a scalp in my hand. They're going to believe my story about some ghost, right? Nope, they don't believe her at all. Now she's in jail and they have to send a crew of paramedics and police officers to the swamp to investigate and gather the bodies. And it takes them so long to get these bodies that once again it becomes night and Victor Crowley's back because he's a responder. He responds like Call of Duty. So now these cops and paramedics are dying one by one, and again, in a quick montage of deaths that we don't really get to see much of. Meanwhile, Mary Beth is in jail, so now they believe her story somewhat, because she can't be killing them. You get more horror alumni that go into this movie, like Stretch from Texas Chainsaw 2, which I never really saw, because I don't give a shit about that series at all. And then you get Derek Mears, the badass who plays Jason in the remake in 2009, as a SWAT guy, and he goes down like a bitch. That's another con. You got this situation where the new Jason could be facing Kane Hodder, who plays Victor Crowley, who was the old Jason, face to face, and that match ends quicker than a sex session in horror movies where they just, like in Halloween 1, it's just over, just like that. They get in bed and it's over in 10 seconds. Really? Come on. Just complete blue balls. Is that what you want to call it? It's blue balls. It's just like, oh, really? You're doing that to me? You could have had something special. That's a positive I forgot to give to Hatchet 2, is that there actually is a fight scene in that movie where the guy who played Leatherface is facing off with Victor. That's the most badass part of the whole movie. In this movie, you could have had a similar situation and they failed on it. But anyways, back to the story. So yeah, they're all getting picked off one by one and Mary Beth's in the jail cell and Stretch from Texas Chainsaw 2 comes in and she's like, oh, I have the new theory on how to defeat Victor Crowley because the guy in the last movie was wrong. Yeah, we know. But now, how are we supposed to believe that your theory isn't just bullshit too? So her theory basically is that you have to take the ashes of Victor Crowley's father who died after he accidentally killed his son, who's now a ghost ripping people apart, and give those ashes back to Victor. And it turns out, spoiler alert, she's right. Kind of. You have to smash the ashes on his head, and that's how you kill him. But that's the end of the movie. I'm jumping a little too far. Let's get back to the beginning. People are dying left and right. Now, I will say that the gore in this movie is better than the second one. The blood and the effects are better. There's a little bit more creativity that isn't as cartoony, although there's a couple of deaths that feel like they're straight out of Mortal Kombat. You just want someone to say, fatality, as soon as they're dead, because it just feels like a Mortal Kombat death. Victor Crowley's looks once again change, except this time for the better. His hair was done more better, his long and straight. He looks more sweaty. He's like covered in blood throughout this whole thing, and I think that's smart, because if you cover him with blood, it kind of hides all the rubber or latex and all the makeup. You still got that hunch in his back. You still got the overalls, and he looks mean as hell. He's kind of got like a cleft jaw. He's got like a weird chin. That's my only negative to makeup in this movie. He's got a weird ass chin. They totally fucked with that. It just points out. It's weird. But again, they fuck with the voice of Victor Crowley. Instead of just a man grunt, he's got a grizzly bear growl. This movie actually does have a couple moments of suspense because you're like waiting for Victor to attack, unlike in the second movie where everything just sucked. It wasn't suspenseful at all. This one actually has some suspense. The way you see Victor's body like slowly like rebuild and regenerate, he's just like a butterfly in a cocoon in the body bag, just becoming a butterfly, and he immediately starts doing damage. This movie tries to up the death count again, but it does it so lazily. At least the second one tried to make every death count. Whereas this one's like, we just need a number. So just hack off as many heads and limbs as you can, as quickly as possible, and don't be creative with it at all. Even with that said, I still say this one's better than the previous installment. Doesn't sound like I'm out of breath yet. I'm very passionate about these movies. Now this movie was given to a different director. It was a friend of Adam Green who was the camera operator for the first movie, or the first two, and now he's the director because Adam Green has just had enough. He still writes the movie, it's still his story, it's still his baby, but he said, I'm not directing, I'm just going to sit in the back seat and produce it and write it. But the directing in this movie is actually better. It's like on a wide angle. Everything's like more wide angle. You get to see more landscape. There's fog, and there's even like a little The Thing homage where Victor Crowley's like standing like the front cover of The Thing. I thought that was kind of cool. You get the guy from the Gremlins in this movie, and he plays the sheriff, and his death is just over the top. It's like that one scene in Jeepers Creepers 2 with the beheading and the body just keeps moving because everybody, apparently in real life, I'm not sure if this is fact or fiction, but if you get your head knocked off or clean, just half of it cut off, apparently your body could still move around and wave its arms. I think that's bullshit, but maybe it's true. But then again, I've been told that the brain controls the body, so how's that even possible? We're humans, not chickens, alright? You get this one character who's supposed to be comic relief, and then you get this cameo who's just the over-the-top racist dumbass played by Sid Haig from Devil's Rejects and Rob Zombie movies. He's supposed to be funny, but it's not really funny to me. It's stupid, he's annoying, and that whole side plot just pisses me off because it's boring. I guess pissing me off is the wrong word to say. I don't script these reviews, so I'm just speaking off the head. Speaking off the top, that whole sideline with the whole, let's go get these ashes, but let's be as slow as possible about it. It's just annoying. It takes you out of the moment, because this whole movie keeps cutting back and forth between these two timelines that are going on. You got the timeline with all the people being massacred trying to hunt down Victor Crowley, and then you got this timeline where Mary Beth, who gets a little bit more character and gets to be a little bit more fun in this movie, as opposed to the previous movie, she has to go get these ashes by this guy, against her will, by the way. They're going to get those ashes and forcibly take her back to the swamp because she's the only one who can deliver the ashes, apparently, according to yet another hypothesis by a character. Every once in a while, as soon as like a lot of crazy shit's happening on the A timeline, it just cuts over to the B timeline to remind you that there's still shit going on over here that I'm not really interested about. Just quickly go get the ashes and come over and join these people. It's like you get 20 minutes of all this cool shit, and then it's like 5 minutes of just this car driving down the road to go get these ashes, and then finally getting the ashes, and then driving back, and then fighting about, no, I'm not going to the swamp. Oh, you're going to the swamp. This movie was definitely shot better than the other two, in my opinion. The fog, it looks better, it's more aesthetically, it's more pleasing to look at. And you got this cop who's supposed to be the comic relief, his name's Schneiderman, and his last name in real life is Schneiderman because his dad is Dee Schneider from Twisted Sister, I believe. And he's just ad-libbing through this movie, just saying shit that he would say in real life, I guess, because that's who he is in real life. He's just comic relief. And he's saying stupid shit, and he brought a fucking bazooka. The sheriff's department apparently has bazookas in their little closet of arsenal. Apparently. I don't know. Is that really what cops have in their arsenals? Bazookas? But this movie tries to be the badass third act. These movies are all back-to-back over the weekend, taking place one after the other. So these are movies you can watch back-to-back-to-back, except it's going to be a different director and a different feel for the third one. And the second one's going to be painful to watch. So the first one's like the introductory, the exposition explaining, but then the second one tries to do too much exposition explaining about the character, and just death after death after death for the sake of stacking bodies. And then this one's the badass third climax with gunfire, and just lots of gunfire in this movie, lots of it. The characters are definitely better in this movie, but it's still not the same, on the same level as the first one. But the directing and lighting is still, I think, better than the other two. The comedy is not really the same as the first one. The first one's always going to be the funniest to me. You only got this one character who's supposed to be comic relief in this movie, and that's it. And then in the end, you find out that her hypothesis was correct. She kills Victor Crowley, and that's the end of her story, and it cuts to black. You don't know if Mary Beth died after she got impaled by Victor before she killed him. So it leaves you with a weird ending of what's to come next, and what's to come next I'll review next, and it's not much better. But this movie is definitely a step up from the previous installment, but not better than the first one. But I would still say that this movie is definitely worth watching at least once. So I would recommend that you get this movie at Redbox. But it's probably not at Redbox, so I would just borrow it from a friend, because it's still worth a watch. Have you seen Hatchet 3? Let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below. Do you think it was better than the second one, the first one, the fourth one? Is it your favorite? Let me know all your thoughts about Hatchet 3 in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And of course, make sure to click on my sexy face in 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.